Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from, well, right here in a hotel room in downtown Los Angeles at Crypto Center, but also from back in my studio back home. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined, not in studio, but they're in the studio, by Jonathan Voico.
Good morning, everybody.
Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Dun, 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 dun.
And, of course, most importantly, you guys are here. So, hold a second. Baby, come over here. I'm in Los Angeles right now because Anne is literally, where'd she go?
That's Dr. Baby to you, John.
Yeah.
It's now Dr. Baby. Come here, Dr. Baby.
Wow, look at that.
Getting ready. And yes, that's a
You have a Deadpool graduation gown?
Yeah.
It is now Dr. Anne Campea.
Nerd.
We're going, well, you're heading off now, right? Okay, bye. So Anne's heading off to the ceremony. Of course, she has to be there a little bit earlier. I will be there. I'm going to go over there once we're done the show. So that's why I'm in a hotel room in Los Angeles right now. But thank you so much for being here, guys, and making this little show part of your day. Listen, we're going to skip the normal preamble. There's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if you heard a little trailer drop today. Did you hear this? A little trailer drop today. And of course, I'm talking about Ironheart. Yes. Ironheart, 3 years after production, has now dropped their first trailer. Now online, it's out there. Again, this thing has been in production. I think they started production when I was still at AMC. Not really sure about that, but it might have been. It's been like 3 years that they shot this show. Now, look, I was saying on the show the other day that this show has some work to do to kind of win me over, because unlike T'Challa, and we talked about this the other day, unlike T'Challa, where they introduced him first in Civil War and gave him an awesome introduction so that when his own movie was coming, we were all the more excited for that movie because we got that little introduction to him in Civil War. The absolute opposite happened with Ironheart, though. They introduced her in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and quite frankly, I didn't think they wrote her well, and I didn't think they did the character justice. And it actually made me less interested in a standalone Ironheart movie or TV show. So I've admitted my anticipation level for Ironheart hasn't been that high, and I really wanted the trailer to come out and just overwhelm me and completely win me over. And this trailer didn't do it. Now, look, I don't think it was a terrible trailer.
No.
Like I see some people online, like I think it might have been, like Forbes wrote, their headline was Marvel Afterthought, Ironheart gets a disappointing first trailer. And I agree, it was a little bit disappointing. I don't think it was like completely terrible, but the problem is I needed this trailer to wow me a little bit more to get me one over. Like, I did like the way the trailer started, right?
I
like
did
the
too.
trailer with her in the elevator.
Yeah.
And like, okay, what the hell do? You got
even
to
that
figure out with this.
Yeah, even that tracking shot of her walking up to that whatever that was, that building. Was really nice. I'm like, okay, this thing cinematically is going to look really nice. Yeah, I mean, it's visually, I like the way it's shot, all that kind of stuff. But that whole thing with the elevator was great, and then everything after that was just, You know what the funny thing is, though? This is the part of the trailer that really jumped out to me for all the wrong reasons. It's like this whole thing of, I want to build something iconic. So what does she do? She copy and pastes Iron Man. Ooh, like that was such a bad mistake for their trailer to do, because that's one of the biggest criticisms that a lot of people have. Is like Ironheart is just Iron Man, right? And they needed to kind of skew away from that. And it's just the fact that she goes, I want to build something iconic, and then it's just another Iron Man suit that she has to step into. It doesn't even come from her skin.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, at least it's not magical nanotech. Yeah. I'm actually happy about that. But then they do like one of the most overused tropes in all of superherodom, and Ironheart's not the only one guilty of it. I'm not saying like they're the only ones, but the whole stop in a truck in the road. Like, We just saw Bucky do a form of that. We saw Maeve do it. How many times do we got to use that trope of like a car about to hit a superhero and superhero stopping the thing, right? It's like, then they did that again. It's like, whatever. Whatever, right? Like, there's a couple of people in this. Who's it? Ramos? Who's playing Hood again?
Oh, the Red Hood.
Anthony Ramos. I'm really liking him. I liked him a lot in Twisters, and I liked him a lot. I liked him a lot in the recent Transformers
Anthony
movie.
Ramos, you're right.
Anthony, I love him in The Heights. I really like this dude, and I think he's going to do well. But yeah, again, and I kind of think it's unfair because if this was a trailer for just a brand new show coming out of nowhere, and I knew nothing about it, didn't hear about it, I might have looked at it and gone, "Oh, that looks okay."
Yeah.
But this is for an Ironheart thing that's already kind of starting a few feet behind the start line because of the bad job done in Wakanda Forever. So I'm left still, Rob, wanting a little bit. What did you think about the trailer?
You know, I had no hope at all for this trailer. And when I watched it, I thought it was nicely, it looks good. I liked the characters. And there was wasn't there the doctor guy that's now working at MIT that we met in Civil War? And he's like this bit player.
Yeah, he was the head of the college and community.
He's
upgraded to MIT.
Community, and now he's at MIT. And I thought that was interesting, but I thought it was okay. You know, I didn't hate it, and I will say this: I will tune in to the first episode. It got me intrigued enough that I'll tune into the first episode. So, in a way, I suppose that's a win.
Well, they're releasing 3 at a time, so
then you'll get that whole Andor vibe. Maybe I'll tune in.
Well, wait a minute.
You know,
are they releasing 3 at a time, or just 3 the first week and then 1 each week? Are they doing 2 weeks of 3 episodes?
That I don't know. As far as that goes,
but they are releasing 3 episodes at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally agree with everything you said. I mean, it's not like I'm clamoring for my new Ironheart show, but I did find it. I found the characters appealing enough that I'll tune in.
I think the one thing I took from this, because we're looking at Red Hood here, I do like that maybe they're trying to have this mix of the mystical over the technological.
Yeah, and if that's the crux of the show, that's interesting to me. But I don't know if that's what's going
unless they like end after 6 episodes with that, and you're like, oh great, well season 2, I guess they'll get to this eventually.
Yeah,
I don't know. There was
all
one
right, guys.
scene.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's one scene right here where she's like, woohoo, okay, and she flies over this bridge. We literally had this same shot in Wakanda Forever in that same bridge.
And also that suit looks like the Iron Man space armor from Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, guys, the question is for you. What did you think of the first trailer from Ironheart? Now, listen, trailers are trailers and the shows are the shows. I've seen lots of bad trailers and then end up really loving the show or the movie. Maybe that'll happen here. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of the big questions that's been surrounding the world of the MCU and that kind of thing is ever since they announced they were going to do Daredevil Born Again is, well, what is going to be the fate of the other Defenders? Are we going to see Iron Fist? Are we going to see Luke Cage? And most prominently, people asked, are we going to see Jessica Jones again? Now, Krysten Ritter, who plays Jessica Jones, has just constantly been saying, oh, well, over the past 6 months or so, like, I really do want to come back. Haven't heard anything yet. Still waiting, but I think there should be a future for Jessica Jones. Well, it is now official, ladies and gentlemen, as according to Variety, Krysten is now officially back. Variety wrote the following. Krysten Ritter is officially back as hard-fighting, hard-drinking Marvel hero Jessica Jones. The announcement was made during Disney's upfront presentation to advertisers in New York on Tuesday. Ritter took the stage with Charlie Cox, star of Daredevil Born Again, to reveal that she would be joining that show for its 2nd season. It's so great to be back, returning to Jessica after 3 seasons and The Defenders, and now joining the MCU, Ritter said. I'm so excited to bring back this iconic character, and without giving too much away, there is much more in store for Jessica Jones. This is going to be an incredible season. All right. Well, there's a couple of things here to kind of touch on. One, she is back. But the second thing is that little tease of hers saying there's much more for Jessica Jones in the future. Well, let's touch on that in a second. Let's start with just the first thing of she's back. Listen, I am not a fan of the Jessica Jones show. I wanted to like it. I just could never get into it. Certainly they had one of Disney Plus's more fascinating villains in season 1. But overall, I don't know, the show just didn't work for me. But I really like the character. Like, for some reason, I like the character much more when in the Defenders series. Like, for some reason, I just felt like they used her a little bit better. They gave her higher quality stuff to do. And I liked her more in the Defenders. And I definitely like Ritter. Like, I love her in the role. So you know what? Bringing her into the show, like, I never thought it was a necessary thing to do. I never thought they needed to bring Jessica Jones back. But I think it's a plus. I think it's an addition. And I think she's going to fit in well with this new universe that they've kind of set up there. So I'm all for it. Rob, what do you think?
Look, you know me. I mean, I love the first season of Jessica Jones so much. I love her as the character. I can't wait for this. I didn't think that seasons 2 and 3 of Jessica Jones came anywhere near the first season.
Once you lost Purple Man.
Yeah, the Purple Man was such a great, that relationship was, or antagonistic relationship was so great. But I did like her in the Defenders, like you said. And I to me, they're very legit characters. So to bring her back into the fold, I think is a no-brainer. I can't wait. I mean, especially because you have Kingpin setting up his no vigilante squad or whatever that's going to be, and see where it goes.
Well, okay, so here's the question, though. When she says, without saying too much, there's more ahead for Jessica Jones, are they implying, Rob, do you think a Jessica Jones series? I don't see her being in an Avengers movie or anything like that, but do you think they're talking about using her? Maybe she's going to be in the Punisher one shot.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think she's going to have a much bigger role to play because I think she's well liked, both with the fan base and probably with Marvel itself. And why not? I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be more of these team ups. I just think she's a great performer. And a great actress. So I'm all for whatever they do with her.
All right, so then this raises the third question that I haven't brought up yet. So what does this mean for Iron Fist and Luke Cage? I mean, what's the guy, Finn Jones? That's the guy who plays Iron Fist, right?
Yeah.
Like, Finn Jones has been out there campaigning pretty hard. I don't know. Oh, who's the guy who plays Iron Fist again?
You mean
like one
Luke,
of them?
You mean Luke Cage?
Sorry, I said Iron Fist. Yeah,
Mike Coulter.
Mike Coulter is
Mike Coulter.
My big man crush. Coming back from Evil, the TV series.
Yeah, I still hate that guy because, like, whatever balance of handsomeness the universe meant to bestow upon me, it clearly gave to him in overabundance. Like, when I see guys like that freaking good looking, it just kind of pisses me off. Anyway,
that was a very Lex Luthor take. He must have taken from me personally because
that's right.
So
they must have taken something from me. But I mean, like, what does this mean then? Do you think? So Rob, do you think this increases the chances for like Iron Fist or Luke Cage to come back?
I do.
Nah, we're still not going to see them.
I think they're going to bring it back. The whole team's going to come back to fight Kingpin's minions or whatever they're going to do next season. I think it's going to be a big part of it. And I love Mike Coulter. I loved him in the TV series Evil, where he was studying to be a priest and then became a priest, believe it or not. And he was great. And of course, him and Jessica Jones. Come on, let's get some action going. Woohoo!
All right. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? It is now official. Krysten Ritter is coming back for Daredevil season 2. What do you think about that? Also, what do you think she means when she says there's a lot more in the future for Jessica Jones? Do you think that means entering into the MCU movie universe? Do you think that means getting her own series, just coming back for Daredevil, maybe season 3? Do you think maybe it means popping up in the Punisher short? And what do you think this means then for the possible future of Iron Fist and Luke Cage? Do you think they'll still leave them out? Do you think they might bring them in? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? Last night, was the finale, episodes 9 through 12, 10 through 12, I should say, of Andor. It's not just the season finale, it's the series finale. And I remember thinking to myself, how do you follow up episodes 7, 8, and 9, which I've said are 2.5 hours, maybe the best 2.5 hours of Star Wars we've ever had in the last couple of decades, ever since Return of the Jedi. How do you follow that up? And they followed it up perfectly. Listen, everybody's going to talk about episodes 7, 8, and 9. I get that. I understand that. When a year or two from now, when I look back on Andor, Rob, the parts that are going to haunt me are episodes 10, 11, and 12. These are the episodes that are going to haunt me. This is where Andor elevated itself to fucking Godfather levels. Like this whole thing, like the first episode is just all Clea having to devise this intricate Mission Impossible kind of break into a hospital just to kill the one person in the whole universe she loves. And that's her whole mission. Get in there and kill Luthen, because that's what he would want. Don't let him talk. And she does it, the whole thing. And then at the end, the head of the ISB killing himself, Deidre ending up in the same prison that we saw Andor in season 1. And by the way, there is a moment, Rob, I hope you caught it in that finale, like when he comes and says, I've been sent to bring you down. He says, just give me a moment to collect my thoughts. And he puts his gun on the table. The camera shifts to outside the room where the guy's standing there facing the stormtroopers. He knows what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And then you hear the gunshot go off, and the stormtroopers start to react, and he just goes, I physically shook. I'm sitting there in my living room, and I'm going, I just literally shook. The whole, listen, say whatever you want. In the original Star Wars, we see the Death Star blow up Alderaan, but we never saw the people on Alderaan. We never saw children playing in the parks. We never saw people going about their daily lives. It was literally a hunk of rock in space, and the Death Star blew it up. Okay. Star Wars has never done as good of a job as Andor has done to give us an understanding about why this empire had to be stopped. Like they just, even in the original trilogy, the empire is evil. All right. Okay. But Andor has made us feel it. They've made it tangible. They made it like something we can actually touch and emotionally feel and experience. Like that one flashback when Luthen's with a young Clea, and just the Imperial thinks, well, somebody did something bad, so we got to make an example out of these locals here. And they just drag down a couple of people, including a child, and like murdered them in the city square. Anyway, this whole thing, this whole finale, and then the way it ends with him flying off to go where we first meet him in Rogue One was a perfect. And by the way, how perfect was K2SO?
Oh,
K2SO. Oh my God. Would you like to know how many regulations we've broken? No, 17. Just turn off the radio. 18. He was so perfect. I was so glad my only wish is that they brought him back earlier, but I understand the timing of it. Listen, I've said this, Rob, before. I will say it again. Bob Iger, do whatever you fucking need to do to keep Tony Gilroy on the property. Do not, I don't care if you got to kidnap his kids. I don't care if you've got to, I don't know, bribe him with 50% ownership stake in Disney. Do whatever you need to do, Bob Iger. You find a way to keep Tony Gilroy in the house, because I don't think anybody has handled Star Wars better since George Lucas himself back in the 1980s. That was it. So, Rob, at the end of the day, Andor is an absolute masterpiece to me. And I'm going to go out on a limb right now. Andor is going to win Best Drama Series at the Emmys. Andor's going to win Best Drama. I'll call it right now. and we'll go from there. Anyway, what did you think about the finale?
Oh, dude, I was astonished. I mean, the end of episode 10 was, I mean, I knew what was going to happen, but when that long lingering shot before they dissolved out of it, I was just sitting there stunned. And I was so, I've said Star Wars has been stuck in an animation mindset because Dave Filoni controlled the animation and the Clone Wars and all of that it was great stuff, but it works really well in animation, whether it's Rebels, Bad Batch. Star Wars has never grown up. And what Andor did, I mean, it's almost 50 years old and it's had a long adolescence, but Andor has grown Star Wars up along with the audience that grew up with it if you're a first generation Star Wars fan. And I was watching this show and it was so smart and it expected so much of its audience. I loved seeing something where the creator the creator knew that we could rise up to his level and their level. And I have to tell you, I'm watching this whole show and that montage at the end, when you saw the Force healer that Bix took Andor to, it's just that quick shot and the recognition good. And he nods at her and she's like, she knew she was in the right place when she saw him. Because it was like, are we going to Yavin? And I lost it. That's when the tears started streaming down my eyes. And I'll tell you, I'm sitting there watching the credits, right? And I don't know if everyone sat through the credits, but then the Star Wars music kicks in. The actual Star Wars end credit music from the original Star Wars. And any tears I had just started up again. And I'm like, oh my God. And the whole thing about it, and of course seeing how it came full circle with Bix and all that, and then I'm just sitting there stunned. And I even watched like all the different languages, that it had been translated into, and I'm just sitting there stunned. And then it turns off, and immediately the Rogue One thing comes on. Watch Rogue One next, and I'm like, I started watching it. I'm just like, this. I'm gonna go watch these 3 episodes again because, like you said, it was. It was a masterpiece of storytelling. And someone wrote in, well, this wouldn't have worked if it wasn't in the Star Wars universe. And I think the reason it's great is because, yes, it could have. You could have set this in
100%. This could have been a World War I espionage story
on a different planet and created all new iconography and told this. The great thing about this story is it universally works. It's about rebellions throughout human history. It was about us, as all great stories are. And I think it made Star Wars, for the most part, connect with its human audience the way it hasn't in a long, long time. And this show is going to stand the test of time. I mean, it resonated. And seeing Dedra, I mean, in that quick shot, and you kind of, just a couple of shots, you have a close-up and you pull back and you see exactly where she is. And you're like, oh, man. Because she was so loyal. It wasn't her fault. I felt bad for her because the Empire needed her. Too bad. Bye-bye, Dedra. Wow.
But I mean, but she made the mistake, right? Like she made the mistake. She put that stuff on her computer. She went after access when she didn't have authorization.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the most intense moments too. It's like she's getting interrogated by Krennic. And she says, we need to shut these down. We need to do this. And he steps back in and he grabs her head. And he's like, we'll just have to do without you. As he and you can tell she's terrified.
Krennic is my second favorite Star Wars villain behind Vader. He supplanted the Emperor for me. It used to be Vader Palpatine. Now it's Vader Krennic Palpatine.
How great was that quick little scene too in the ISB office when it's just Krennic and the head of the ISB, and like Krennic's like, I can't protect you. It's like, so these guys obviously have a history.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And then he says, good luck to us both. And even just Krennic you can tell Krennic respects him. Krennic just gives him the little nod and out the door. And by the way, we got to touch on, so who's the baby? Who's the baby? Because I don't think they show that shot at the end unless they've got something in mind. Now, I've already seen some theories online saying, the baby is Poe Dameron.
Yeah,
which is not not the most ridiculous thing, but I think they might come back to that someday.
Maybe. I just like the fact that it shows that the universe will continue. There is hope. Rebellions are built on hope. And that last shot to me shows the hope of, look, Bix was all in as well. And Cassian Andor and Bix, their love transcended this rebellion, and their child will go on after it's over. And I thought that was fairly.
Fought and died for.
I would hope
it showed what he fought and died for.
Yeah, I would hope that they leave that alone, because why make the universe small? And if they do go back to it, make that a new character. Maybe Tony Gilroy can go in and that character and he can retcon this terrible sequel trilogy and make that character somebody brand new who really restores the galaxy or something.
Or it was, just like you're pointing out, to show that he dies, but he saved her and his child by doing what he did.
That the universe goes on.
Yeah. Guys, we could honestly...
In a way, that was the triumph. That was Cassian Andor's triumph, is that he loved her, he protected her, he was with her, he helped her get over that trauma and take her revenge, and she carries on his legacy with his child, with their child, with a child that was born of love and rebellion.
Anyway, guys, we could honestly sit here and talk for the next 3 hours about Andor, but we do have other things to discuss. So the question is, what did you think about the finale of Andor? I thought it was straight up a masterpiece, and I don't throw that word around. I do not throw the word masterpiece around, I think this show was a masterpiece. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, a couple of years ago, there was a little bit of confusion. I mean, we had HBO, we had HBO Go, we had HBO Now, and then we had HBO Max. And then somewhere along the lines, even though they had one of the most respected IP names in all of entertainment, HBO, 2 years ago, the brain trust over at Warner Brothers Discovery decided to drop the name HBO from Max. And they thought it was a pretty big deal. Jonathan, you got that clip?
Yes. I remember it as if it was just yesterday.
This is our time. This is our chance, and everything is possible. CEO David Zaslav said in his introductory remarks, "I feel like for our company, this is our rendezvous with destiny." I'll take my Oscar now.
Wait, literally, is this a timeshare? Just dropped the word HBO, and it is ushering in our rendezvous with destiny.
I think he said it from Isengard.
Oh my God, I can't even breathe anymore.
You know what's keeping us back from our destiny? 3 letters, gentlemen. HBO. What? A world of possibilities is now opened up. And what is it again? Oh, it's where you go to watch HBO. I don't. Yeah. So that was 2 years ago. So you're dropping HBO from Max? Yeah. Well, what is Max? It's where you go to watch HBO. It was, and I said this at the time, the absolute stupidest decision they could have made. You have, like I said, the single most respected name in entertainment, in HBO, and you have it and you drop it for Max. And now we don't have this other clip, but I remember I said this, guys, like 6, 7, 8 months ago. I said, I guarantee you within the year, they're going to change it back to HBO. I have been saying it over and over and over again. I said they're going to change it back to HBO. Well, guess what? According to the Hollywood Reporter, that day is today. They're just giving up and they're calling HBO again. I think that's from The Verge.
Oh yeah,
the Warner Brothers, but the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, they're all reporting it. They made it official. They have changed the name of Max back to HBO Max. Now, look, all the snark aside, and there's plenty of snark to go around on this, but it does make sense, right? You have the words HBO. That's synonymous with the highest quality, the highest level of excellence in television production and all that kind of stuff. You absolutely need to have that in your name. There's no doubt. All of HBO stuff is on Max. Max's stuff goes on to HBO. Practically synonymous. As a matter of fact, I remember a little while ago when they announced that they made that change, Rob. I don't know if you remember this, where like the new Harry Potter series was going to be a Max production, but then they changed it and said it's going to be an HBO production. Lanterns was a Max original, but then they changed that to an HBO original. And whereas a lot of people made a big deal about that, oh, they're taking it away from Max. We said on this show, it's just semantics. The HBO Max, it's interchangeable. Like by putting it on HBO, it's going to be on Max. It was on Max, it was going to be on HBO. And so, and I think that's when it became extremely apparent that they were just going to do away with the distinction. And as a matter of fact, what's this guy's name? Casey Bloys?
Yeah.
Is that the guy? He is the head of both Max and HBO. Like even their leadership is all put into one. So look, is this a good decision to rename Max back to HBO Max? 100% it's a good decision. And as we return to the snark, it just corrects the stupidest decision that they ever made in dropping the name HBO Max. So yes, this is the right decision. And it took them 2 years too long to figure it out. Anyway, Rob, what do you think about all this?
Well, listen, I never stopped calling it HBO. I was always saying too. HBO Max. Max just was too generic. And I'll tell you something. They never took the HBO logo off the beginning, you know, with the static, the HBO. It was on Game of Thrones. It was on Sopranos. It was on all of these shows that people watch over and over again religiously. So they never really, you can't rebrand a show where your marquee shows all start with the HBO logo. You know, and I heard yesterday on NPR, who's the guy, you know, the guy who does Righteous Gemstones and Eastbound and Down, who wrote it all, the actor. Oh. You know, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
The guy from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank on his name, John? Anyway, he created Danny Righteous Gemstones. He was on NPR talking about the new season of Righteous Gemstones.
Well, are you just talking about Danny McBride?
Danny McBride.
Okay,
I can't believe
I thought you meant like someone else, right?
No. Danny McBride talked about Casey Bloys and said when they first started doing Eastbound and Down, that Casey Bloys was there and really understood what they were doing. So I'll bet you that Casey Bloys finally won this war. He said, look, our shows all say HBO in the beginning, and HBO was there that'd be like changing the name of Coke. I mean, HBO's been around since the late 70s, and it was a weird thing. HBO defined prestige television. And now they finally got it right. HBO Max, all of your favorites in one place. That makes sense. And HBO Max is kind of cool. When you say Max, it's like, are you talking about an energy drink? What are you talking about? And I think this is a very, very smart choice. It was a very dumb choice to try and change the name. It never stuck. Saying Max was stupid. Everyone still said HBO because all their great shows still said HBO on the front of them. So it's like, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm glad to have HBO back.
Yeah. And again, it's just, I don't understand whatever rationale ever went into this. Now, I've heard some people say, well, John, you made the decision to create a distinction between, but they didn't actually want a distinction between Max and HBO in the first place. It's not like they started separating the shows, right? Again, I still will never know what on frickin' earth ever possessed them to drop HBO from the name in the first place. Whatever, the nightmare's over. They're at least just going back to it now. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? HBO Max, Max. Well, it's no longer Max. It's now HBO Max again. Great move, yes. But I mean, should you be credited for being a smart guy by taking your tongue out of the electrical outlet? Maybe it should have never been in there in the first place. I don't know. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this. Look up. Look up indeed. The new Superman trailer has arrived, and it's glorious. I have been a little bit nervous going into this trailer, and I absolutely adored it. You get great shots of a lot of the characters. There's this one super iconic shot of Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific kind of all hovering in the sky that I thought looked absolutely, that's the shot there. I love that. I thought that shot looked incredible. You see Superman knocking out a kaiju. We see him taking some shots from different characters at different points. I think it's the engineer. We get to see going to town, Crypto being a good boy and defending the house. But I'll tell you, Rob, this is the part to me, this is the part of the trailer that I love. This is the part that I ate up and I thought said so much about James Gunn's understanding of Superman and all that kind of stuff. It's during the interview with Lois. And she's talking, apparently the thing he did that got everybody mad, that he went overseas and stopped a war between a couple of countries. And he's taking heat and he's getting increasingly frustrated until it finally ends with, we saved lives. People were going to die. And to me, here's the brilliance of that shot right there. That shot in the frame right there. The brilliance of that is it completely highlights Superman's worldview and his absolute confusion about everybody else's inability to get it. See, to Superman, it's just, you do the right thing. We're supposed to do the right thing. When did it become complicated to do what's right? People were going to die. And in that moment, like, so I'm sure there's going to be some people looking at Superman getting frustrated and they're saying, oh, James Gunn is treating him like he's some kind of child. No, this is Superman with his total foundational rock worldview of we are supposed to do what's right. And him being absolutely confounded by this idea that, oh, you going over there and stopping people from dying, that was wrong. And he's frustrated by that. And I love it. That was the moment to me. Like, you can show Superman flying through the sky, and that's awesome. You can show Superman knocking out a kaiju, and that's awesome. I also love that one little line, hey, buddy, eyes on me. And like, that's awesome. But the moment in this trailer for me, Rob, that I went, Kal-El's back, is that moment when he's like, people were going to die, like understanding his mindset, how he interacts with the world that he's in. I thought this was great. I cannot wait to see this. It's already my number one most anticipated movie of the year. This thing just elevated it higher for me. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see the trailer. What did you think of it?
I had a little different opinion about
really?
This. Now, yeah, and I'll tell you why. I liked everything that I saw in terms of the imagery, the fantastical nature of it all. But what I was missing from this trailer is I still don't have a sense, and I went back and watched all the Man of Steel and Superman Returns trailers. The only interaction that we get between characters is that Lois and Superman scene in the beginning. And while I think the sentiment was there, I didn't like seeing Superman's frustration with Lois. To me, it was like somewhat out of character. He would have said the exact same thing, but in a different, more calm way. Because he agreed to this interview, and I thought that was out of character.
But he agreed to the interview while they were at their apartment and like, all right, let's just do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But he would have been more. He lost control. He lost his composure with her, which I thought was, and that's how they opened the trailer. But what I was missing was, you know how in all these trailers now they keep showing the same imagery from the same scene, so they don't have to show us very much of the movie itself. But there was no, in all of the other Superman trailers, when they lead with the major trailer, you hear underneath dialogue from other characters. And the only person who said anything was, you heard from Superman's father, which was, I loved hearing that. You heard the charming thing about Ma Kent with his boots, which I liked. But that was something to be expected. I wanted to know more about what we're going to get in terms of what is the interaction here? What's happening here? Because the imagery is great, and I love, by the way, I also love the way the movie's shot. I do love the color scheme. I do think how it looks is going to be spectacular on screen. So I loved all that, but I was a little underwhelmed I wanted to feel more from it. I wanted it to be more mythic. And I think this trailer specifically didn't do, because Superman Returns and Man of Steel had very similar trailers. This was very different, and I think that's why they opened with the interview. I just wanted a little bit more of a sense of the kind of movie that we're going to get. And that's what I was missing. Everything else I liked, but I felt this was a little ordinary, if that's the right word.
Oh God, I can't disagree with you more.
I know.
Like they all hit us in different ways, but like for me, like I know exactly, like, you know me, I often get frustrated with trailers if they don't give us any sense of what the movie's about. But to me, this trailer did give us that. This is a Superman who is struggling to figure out his place in this world, and the world struggling to figure out what is Superman's role. And there's clearly conflict there about what Superman.
Sure, but I wanted to hear from they show Frank Grillo, and give us a little pushback. What does the government think of what Superman did? Somebody
we
tell
did
us.
Get that from Lois Lane, though. Like we got that, but they didn't have to double down on that, because Lois Lane already kind of made it clear what everybody else's opinion is. You went there, a representative of the U.S. I'm not a representative of the U.S. You didn't have any authority to go there. So they already kind of gave us that position.
Yeah, but it would have been bigger. It would have broadened the scope if we heard from more people.
The trailer's already almost 3 minutes long. I don't think we needed to hear it from more.
Well, there's still going to be.
They gave us that scape. What's that, Jonathan?
I think there's still going to be a third trailer.
Yeah, there will be.
No, for sure there's going to be a third trailer. 100% there is. But like with the whole notion too of then, so we got that whole thing is now all set up, that this is a world that is not yet completely comfortable and fully understanding of what Superman's role is, and a Superman who doesn't understand completely how he's supposed to interact with the world that he's in. But then at the same time, we started to get the Lex point of view. Everybody's talking about this Superman. He's hijacking the conversation. Not anymore. We see him breaking into the Fortress of Solitude. I don't know, man. I'm the one who's usually saying you need to give me an idea about what this movie's about. I came out of this trailer feeling I had a nice, basic, thematic idea about what this movie's about. Now, obviously, we are going to get more details as we get into trailer 3. But I'll tell you what, you and I see that scene in that interview night and day differently. To me, that's with his chat with Lois, him getting increasingly frustrated about the fact that, like, why is it so hard to just everybody agree we should do the right thing, and getting frustrated? That's the moment that sold me, like, completely on it. But you saw it differently.
And I felt I lean towards John on this, and I felt like the reason why he did get frustrated, because he's saying, my God, even you, Lois, who have a thing, and you're not seeing through the cynical like way of life. Like, what is this? You know?
I know, but that's why I think that he would be able to. I don't know. It just struck me, and that's how they start the trailer.
You think Superman should just be this cold, like
no, but I think that they should. That's a moment to build up to his frustration. And if you saw, like, we've seen so much of this world. I mean, it was all Mr. Terrific. It was all Hawkgirl. It was all these other characters. And I would like to know more about if this world is filled with superheroes, why is it that only Superman's being held accountable?
Because they're all sanctioned like government workers.
Are they?
I think so.
I mean, I don't know.
I think they're all under the Mr. What's his name? Mr. What? Terrific? Mr.
Maxwell Lord.
But there's a
Justice
name.
League.
There's a name of the company they're all working with.
I think we find ourselves in a world where it's like corporate overlords, government overlords.
Because they're all in matching costume. They're all in matching uniforms, right? But why? Because Superman is Superman. Like that's I think that's part of the thing, is that Superman is Superman. And Whereas you look at Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific, they're all wearing matching team outfits.
But the thing is that I just look, I'm still. It hasn't changed my excitement for the movie. I just thought the trailer was interesting, especially if you compare it and contrast it. This Superman is not mythic. This Superman is an everyman Superman. And that's the thing. You know, he's much more he's been much more humanized in this trailer. And that's the same thing. The trailer ends with "You have a dog." You know, I mean, this is very much the idea is to bring Superman down to earth. And that's okay.
I just think but you know, you and I both adore Man of Steel. Man of Steel did the same thing. Like the whole thing about
But the trailers didn't. The trailer, I watched all the trailers for Superman, and the trailers were incredibly mythic. They're very, very mythic. The music.
We never saw Superman knock out a kaiju in the Man of Steel. Like, how much more mythic do you want to get?
Because there weren't kaiju in that universe. But yeah.
But I'm just saying, we literally saw Superman fly up with a right uppercut and knock out a kaiju. What more do you want for mythic? I don't get it. Like, what more? What more do we need? But to Jonathan's point though, Rob, I mean, this is the second trailer. We're still going to get a third.
Yeah.
Again, for me, I just love, because one of the things that I love so much about Man of Steel, and you know this about me, right? Is because Man of Steel to me is the most underrated comic book film of all time.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love so much about that movie is that it really, and also, you know, Superman Returns. This is the part of Superman Returns that I liked. When you have a character that is so godlike, like Superman, it's always a struggle to find what it is he struggles with. And like, to me, his ultimate struggle is struggling to understand his own place in the world and for the world to understand his place in it. And that's one of the reasons I loved Man of Steel so much, because it really addressed that question. It was constantly like Kal-El Clark wandering the world, really trying to figure out his own identity.
Yeah, and that was beautifully handled
in the world. Yeah, it was so well handled. And I love the fact that without copying that, they're bringing that theme over as well. Of this is still a Superman who's been around for a bit, but he still doesn't completely know how to function within this world to make the world happy, but still wanting to go by his own moral North Star that I have to do what's right.
Sure.
And getting frustrated, people don't see it that way. Like, it's so clear cut to him, right? A war was about to start and people were going to die. And I stopped it, and people are angry at that. So I can't wait for that scene. I for one am really, really, really excited about that scene.
I want to see the rest of that interview.
That's probably going to be like an 8-minute long scene. I think you and I would both agree. We think that's probably going to be like, that's not going to be a 30-second scene in the movie. That's going to be like 5, 6, 7 minutes long. So it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of shakes out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about the Superman trailer? I'm sure there's some of you who absolutely loved it like I did. Maybe some of you are a little bit more lukewarm on it like Rob is. But whatever you guys thought about it, what stood out to you about the trailer, for good or for ill?
I think the movie looks great though, John.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, the movie looks great. I mean, we're all excited about it.
I'm just speaking as a trailer alone.
I get it. We always do. Whatever you guys think, jump down into this comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Now, this is normally the time of the show when we throw it over for your questions. However, as we pointed out at the beginning of the show, I am clearly in Los Angeles, and my wife is getting ready in about an hour to walk up and receive her doctorate. And so I have got to now go and do that. So we will get caught up on the viewer questions tomorrow. But for now, I want to thank, of course, Robert Meyer Burnett for being here. Rob, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
And I'll watch the trailer again and again.
And of course, Jonathan Voico.
All right, guys.
My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, everybody. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.